This is a 61st gene key, 61. The shadow is psychosis. The gift is inspiration.
Ooh.
And the city is sanctity. So the 61st shadow is psychosis.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you have any preconceived prejudice about the word psychosis.
I live it.
Oh, really?
I look forward to hearing about it.
And how do you define psychosis for yourself?
For me, it's when I've fallen in the deep dark hole and everything is fucked and I can't stop crying. I can only see the dark and I feel hopeless about being able to dig out. I've had to climb by my fingernails out of those holes. Sometimes I'm afraid it's the last one and I won't be able to get out. My perspective of my world, my life, my experience is truly inaccurate because all I can see is what's in the hole with me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to imagine when you're deep enough that there's even an outside of the hole. And so all of that to me is psychosis. Well, inspiration is the only thing that's gotten me out.
Yes, exactly. So you're living this way,
Mm-hmm.
and that this was somewhat new to me.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize how tied into the question of why we are.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm going to read a little bit and then maybe we'll discuss some more.
Yeah.
The pressure of why. The standard dictionary definition of the word psychosis might read any kind of mental defection or derangement. Generally seen as a mental affliction rooted in chemistry, psychosis is associated with disorganized thinking and delusional beliefs. Perhaps its key hallmark is that the individual so affected is usually unaware of their affliction. There are degrees of psychosis from mild to acute. The psychoses that are recognized are more acute forms in which human beings are unable to function in society without endangering either themselves or others. However, what the 61st shadow will show is that psychosis, which entails a loss of contact with reality, is the background consciousness of almost all human beings, including those that purport to understand the nature of the malady itself. How does this guy know all this shit? It's just amazing.
He was the recipient of the downloads.
Yeah, absolutely. At the risk of shocking the psychological community, or indeed the wider community, psychosis is in fact the ordinary state of the mass consciousness of humanity in the world today. In the 61st shadow, the true nature of the mind is obscured. The true nature of the mind is described in the 61st city of sanctity, where it is seen as an emptiness, or perhaps more clearly as infinite space. However, the mind, as we know it today, is sick, and it is sick for one reason alone, because it seeks itself. It is through the narrow gate of the 61st gene key that a great question permeates the world of human beings. The question of why is in fact an aberration caused by the limitations of our current awareness. It is also this question that has powered the direction taken by humanity for thousands of years, and in particular over the past few hundred years. There's a tremendous pressure within the human brain to find an answer to this question that continues to well up from the deepest reaches of our unconscious. Both right and left hemispheres of the brain grapple with an answer to this question, but both are ultimately destined to fail. The right hemisphere seeks to end the pressure through religion, whilst the left hemisphere seeks to end the pressure through science. The key to our failure to relieve the pressure is found in the programming partner of the 61st shadow, which is the 62nd shadow of intellect. The pressure from the 61st shadow is neurologically and chemically routed directly into the human intellect, which is what turns the pressure into a question in the first place. The word why is the first word of all words, and out of it has been born all the different languages of humanity. This pairing of the 61st gene key and the 62nd gene key is a very mystical pairing.
Here's the real crazy thing. This is explaining why our world isn't so much fun.
This is absolutely the reason why.
Yeah.
But the dilemma is that you cannot fix the psychosis from within the psychosis. The ancient civilization called this perceptive cloak thrown over the world the Maya, the great illusion. William Blake said, if the doors of perception were cleansed, everything would appear as if infinite. Humanity is simply a victim of the pressure of this shadow. We will do anything and believe anything or anyone who promotes to deliver us from this pressure. Thus, because it promises us respite from the pressure within our minds, religion is one of the biggest businesses on our planet. The problem with religion, not usually with the founders, those rare beings who attained a higher frequency and were Siddhic, but the 61st shadow holds the greatest flaw, and that is the flaw of worship. The moment you worship another, you set yourself below them in a victim position. You guarantee that your frequency will remain at that low level and be severely impaired. You need to understand here the difference between that low level and oh, wait a minute. Oh, gosh, I'm going to stop here because it seems like we want to stop here. So I like the understanding that if I worship another, even you, I could easily worship you. You're with me, do and say everything that I want you to do and say. I could definitely worship you. But there's a difference. There's a difference between worship and devotion. And so I can be 100% devoted to you.
And me.
The moment you worship another, you set yourself below them in a victim position. You guarantee that your frequency will remain at that low level and be severely impaired. You need to understand the differences between worship and devotion. Devotion contains the seed of individual dissolution, whereas worship requires a basic duality between you and God. And there is no duality. That's what we're learning. The only way to release the pressure of the 61st shadow is to step right into the heart of the pressure, rather than constantly trying to make it go away. But the pressure from the 61st shadow is truly terrifying for the human intellect, which has formed an intricate mental construct around itself called reality.
Matrix, anyone? Simulation?
Are you picking up on any of this?
I fucking love it. I love it. I really loved hearing the devotion part too, because honestly, I'd sort of wondered. I didn't have a word for how I felt. You are somebody I have particularly been devoted to over the, I don't know, what's it been, 9 months or something. But I have also been fully devoted to Ayana and Tom and Azaria and my daughter. I couldn't figure out what is that, because I know it wasn't
expression
worship.
of your heart.
Yeah, and devotion feels accurate. The worship being you've put yourself in a lower position, and we are here together, devoted to each other.
Absolutely.
Mhm.